when in sustainability, there are so many ways to engage.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of it. And for me, I was sitting in a permaculture design class, being completely inspired and absolutely overwhelmed by, oh my gosh, how do I engage?
How do I choose the right?
How do I choose?
Yep.
What is mine to do?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I asked. I just like, what is mine to do? And I just got this seeds. And I was like, seeds? I was like, I don't know anything. I was like, seeds. And I was like, I don't know anything about seeds. I
Right.
don't think I'd even saved a seed before in my life.
This episode of Grounded in Maine is sponsored by ESG Review. ESG Review magazine is published quarterly in February, May, August, and November and is available for free in print and digital formats. ESG Review is devoted to environmental, social, and governance strategies, technologies, and investments. ESGreview.net is updated every Wednesday with 8 new stories and is home to feature articles, news items, and more. Visit esgreview.net to stay informed and help us spark the collaboration and awareness needed to develop sustainable economies and communities around the world.
There's a place where there's no trouble, no more pain, no more struggle.
Grounded in Maine podcast is an open conversation about how we show up for the world. I started this podcast out of a desire to learn new ways to be sustainable because the word sustainability is big. It can be overwhelming, and I just wanted to learn, different ways to try to be part of the solution and not feel like it's too late. So I'm talking to people who are doing different things and learning so much. I hope you are too. Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy, and my guest today is Rebecca Newburn, and she is the founder of the Seed Library Network. So we're talking about seed libraries, which is very exciting, and I am so looking forward to learning more about seed libraries. So Rebecca, thank you so much for being here.
It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yay. And so can you tell us what a seed library is? Please.
Yes. So a seed library is a community-based resource where seeds are offered for free to the community. And the idea is also we provide education on how to plant them and grow them, as well as save seeds with the hope, but not the requirement that people return them. So it's a little bit different than a seed bank, which is a much more closed system where there's really an expectation to return seeds and it's not as publicly available. And so this is more of a open system.
Oh, there's a difference. I did not know
Yes.
that. Okay, great. Okay, and so, well, I'm sure that when someone takes seeds out, they're taught how to save the seeds so that they can bring seeds back.
It's something that is encouraged, but some communities are really at a place where they just want to encourage people to start growing more food, to increase the health of their community, where it really depends on the location and the motivation behind the seed library. For example, our seed library was started, I'm in Richmond, California, and we started both as wanting to steward rare species, rare varieties that were at risk of going extinct, at the same time as increasing food security. So we were looking at how do we meet kind of both of those goals of preserving genetic diversity as well as meeting the food needs of our community. And so for us, seed saving and returning is a more of a critical part, whereas in other communities, it might be just like, we just want people to start growing more food.
Right. We'll figure the rest out later.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so, I mean, I save seeds whenever I can, the bigger seeds that are easier to do. I have not figured out, I had a guest on who told me how to save lettuce seeds, and I have never seen a lettuce seed to be able to save it.
Well, it's because you eat it, but you pull it out of the ground before it goes to seed. That's what happens. If you just let it bolt, and then it will get there, but it's a much longer process. And that's one of the things that people need to know, is that some seeds just require a longer time commitment, and people may not have the space or the time to do that.
Right. I mean, I grow a lot of arugula because I love arugula, and the seed pods are so easy, except
Yes, that's beauty of nature.
but I had so many. So I'm living in Virginia right now, but I'm from Maine, and so I my dog and I drove to Maine last summer,
Okay.
and I brought like a big wad of seed, like the stems with the seeds for arugula, and I'm like, anyone need any arugula? Because I had so much.
I mean, that's a nice thing is that not everybody needs to save the seeds because when you do let something go to seed, it provides
So
enough for the
many.
whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so if you grow the arugula and I grow the lettuce, we've got a couple blocks covered.
Yeah, but like, peppers and cucumbers and tomatoes and squash, like all those things, I save those seeds, but there are some that I have not figured out yet. So I feel like before we get too far, I want to know the difference between the seed library and the seed bank, now that I know that there are two different
Yeah.
things.
So basically, a seed bank often is more geared towards farmers. And for example, you might come in, and I think about places like in India, for example, where they have a really strong seed bank kind of network where they're trying to preserve traditional varieties, and someone might come in and get a kilogram of some type of wheat, of some type of rice variety.
Got
And
it.
the expectation is that I'm going to grow this out and then I'm going to return 2 kilograms for the use of this 1 kilogram. So then that allows someone else to then borrow, those returned seeds. And obviously, if I'm a good borrower and I return what I said I was going to do, then I have maybe more access to borrowing future seeds from that bank.
Oh, that's so
Whereas,
great.
yeah, whereas in a seed library, ours is, completely open access. You don't need a library card. You come and you just take whatever you're planning on growing for that season,
Right.
with the hope that some people out of that large population will actually start to save seeds and return some so that the library can become self-sustaining and the seeds can be locally adapted to our climate.
Yeah, okay. And how do you I'm like, I have this picture in my head, having never been to a seed library, I was saying, how do you like have a million envelopes for someone if they want to come and scoop a little bit?
That is a great question. So the first thing to know is that the seed libraries are as diverse as the communities that we serve.
So a
And
difference.
yes, and one seed library might be just a shoebox on a reference desk.
Okay.
I've seen seed libraries that are beautiful art pieces that have been hand painted by someone in the community, just decorated with squash and, the three sisters and lovely. And a number of public libraries have seed libraries and they've repurposed old card catalogs. So you might see some familiar thing from the past, but with a completely different
There are no cards
different purpose
inside.
right
Yeah.
now. And so from that standpoint, they look different, and the interaction, we have our collections were 100% in jars, and it's all self-serve. So you basically take the quantity that you need, put it into an envelope,
Okay.
whereas other libraries, it's 100% pre-packed so that in that way, the amount of seeds is somewhat regulated and people get an appropriate quantity versus, oh, you take a pack of commercial zucchini and nobody in the right mind needs 25 zucchini seeds. So,
Right.
um,
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, that's sort of how I had it. I guess your library is more what I had in my head, like almost like a bulk food store, like bulk grains, that type of
yeah.
thing.
And we have, on each label, we have a recommended about how many we would recommend taking. For example, it's 2 to 3 seeds per large seeded seeds. For example, if you're getting a zucchini, 2 to 3 seeds for every plant you intend to grow, assuming some might not germinate or some might be eaten by something, or you just got some extras and you give them to a friend. And then kind of a pinch of smaller seeded things like lettuce.
Okay. And so you probably have like a million envelopes, the little.
We just have a whole bunch of envelopes, and then we actually have pre-printed labels, so people can literally just take out the pre-printed label, and so they have all the growing instruction, the varietal information
Oh, wow.
on it. So yeah, we have a thing called the auto wrapper, which is free and downloadable on our website, which is seedlibrarynetwork.org. So if you are a seed saver or if you have a seed library, you can go to our envelope and labeling page and just download the auto wrapper, and it prints in all these different sizes And
Wow.
we have 70 common species where all of the planting instruction and seed saving instruction is already on there. So if you wanted to do common beans, you would just go to beans, you type in your varietal name, a varietal description, the year, and then just say, I want to print line 26. And then you can print out as many labels as you want on,
That's
an eight and
wild.
a half by 11 paper or, Avery label and have it all kind of pre-stick if you want to do it on
Oh my
like
goodness.
envelopes. We just do everything on paper because we're low budget, high impact.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I just had this like, I mean, this is so how I garden. I am not organized. I'm not. I have a friend who like brings she's strings so she has straight lines and a ruler so everything is just so I'm like throw it in, I'll recognize it when it's big enough, right? So I have this idea of like just talking about the seed library. I have like all the different ideas in my head, and so like someone going in and like, okay, I need 3 zucchini and a few lettuce, and just put them all together in one hand. Like, okay, we'll just put them in.
There's all these different types of gardeners and farmers, and I think that there's a kind of a very yes and approach in our community. So all
Right.
well,
Yeah. I mean, I've been reading a lot about like I was just reading about guilds, and so
yes,
like
culture guilds.
bunching a lot of different things together to benefit the soil and benefit the plants. I think
Yeah.
that's a really cool idea. And so then the ruler and the string, the perfect lines.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. No, I gotta have my
they
little
had
guilds around my trees. Yeah. So
right, yeah. So if we can go back a little bit,
sure.
I'm curious what what brought you to start the Seed Library Network? Like, I mean, there are
Yes.
so many careers that you could. Um,
Exactly. When in sustainability, there are so many ways to engage.
yeah.
And that is the beauty of it. And for me, I was sitting in a permaculture design class, being completely inspired and absolutely overwhelmed by, oh my gosh, how do I engage?
How do I choose the
How do
right?
I how do I choose?
Yep.
What is mine to do?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I asked. I just like, what is mine to do? And I just got this seeds. And I was like, seeds? I don't know I was like, seeds. And I was like, I don't know anything about seeds. I
Right.
don't think I'd even saved a seed before in my life. My permaculture teacher, Christopher Shine, happened to be the person who started the first seed lending library. So I knew of the concept.
Okay.
And then in that moment, it really became clear to me, which is all these other ideas are important and valuable. And if we don't have access to local seed, that whole foundation is on rocky terrain.
Yeah.
And so it made sense from a structural standpoint, even though I had no idea. But in that moment, I decided I wanted to create a seed library and make it a replicable model so that any community who had lost that wisdom, and thank goodness so many communities had continued that tradition and continued to hold their seeds. But for many of us that had lost that way and lost that connection, I was like, I want to create a model that other people can just take and adapt it and use it in their own community and expand it or contract it in whatever way makes sense for their context and their community.
Oh my gosh. That that's so inspiring. And to be able to so you were working with the person who started the first seed lending
Yeah, so I
library?
basically at that time I said I want to do this. I want to create it in my public library there in the Berkeley Ecology Center. It's called Basil, the Bay Area Seed Interchange Library. They've been around for 25 years now.
Wow.
And I said, I love your model and I want to create it in a way that is replicable, that I can put in my public library and that other people can use. And I said, I know nothing about seeds. You folks were all really experienced seed savers, but they weren't very organized. So I was like, I got organization. I got organization in spades and I'm a teacher professionally. I'm a middle school science teacher. So I was like, I can bring that skill set to the table and let me help you unpack what you know so that it's accessible to people like me
Yes.
that don't have that background. And how do I create a structure
Yes.
so that the the whole library structure was based on plant families because seeds in the same family often have the same seed saving requirements like peas and beans. And so to make that more visible, that as people are engaging in the public library and the seed library, that that kind of education is embedded in the system.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much that you brought your gift of organization to something that was already sort of established, but like to make it better and to give it some order. Like I just think of all these people that are like so stinking smart and they have so much information, but it's all in their head and you have to like sift through it somehow. And so to have someone to be like, okay, let's put this here and let's figure this out.
Yeah. Well, there are certain things that I just remember, like I had no idea, and I was like, "Well, this doesn't make any sense." And they're like, "Well, that's actually really important." I was like, "Oh, well, tell me why it's important because I don't understand it. I didn't understand inbreeding versus outbreeding things that are extremely self-pollinating or not." And I'm like, "Oh, that's what you're talking about."
Yeah.
And all that stuff that you learn in biology 101 in high school that made, and not to say that didn't make any sense, but there was no connection.
Sure. Yep.
And then all of a sudden it's like it landed literally and figuratively, like, oh, I get it. It's like I teach
Yeah.
science. Now it makes sense. And I'm going to redesign and rethink how I teach this when I talk about it to my students.
Yeah. Can I ask how long ago you founded
Yeah,
this?
we opened on May Day 2010.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've been around for over 15 years.
Yeah, almost 16.
Yep, coming on it.
So tell me why a seed library is important. Like I know we know the sort of the difference between a seed library and a seed bank. Why is it
Yeah,
why
I
does it
think
matter?
it matters. It's going to matter depending on who you are in your own lens. There's cultural preservation of important seeds. There's food access and food sovereignty and seed sovereignty. There is what do we do in a rapidly changing climate with extreme weather events? How do we have seed that is going to be adapting to those conditions when we're purchasing seeds that have been grown in a far off area in a completely different bioregion, probably in a different country. They're not adapting to what nature's throwing at us in terms of climate, in terms of pests. And quite honestly, it's super fun, like to be part of that whole cycle of life again and see the lettuce. It's like, oh, is that what a lettuce plant looks like? And to see the insects that come onto that and that benefit from that we are more in relationship with our food and life itself. There's so many ways. For me, it was just one of these. I'm a serious check. I'm like, there's no secret about it, but I am a serious checklist person, and I'm like, check, 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 check. And it saves money, and it's free, and it's fun, and you get to be really abundant and share all. I have so many lettuce seeds. Like, oh my gosh, please, like here, take some. So there's so many reasons why to do it, and people just need to like get the little memo and be like, oh yeah, I'm up with that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just the thought of I mean I was really hoping that you would say the cultural aspect of it because that's how I think of it as, but I did not. There are so many benefits to it, and I love that there are so many benefits to it. I do okay, the first.
Well, I'm going to say one more thing before
Yes,
you
please.
hold that idea. But I think another library that's really gaining tractions now is native seed libraries. And so there's a growing movement around, like our collection, we're a mix of vegetables, herbs, both culinary and medicinal. We have a little small dye and fiber section in our library, and then we
Cool.
also have flowers and a native collection. We have a fairly large. We have 3 cabinets. We're a pretty large seed library, and we're 100% locally grown.
That's awesome.
And
But there's a
there is
whole separate native.
there's a separate native section, and we definitely need people that care specifically about that and want to steward that. But there are entire libraries that are native only, and there's an increasing interest in native only seed libraries and how do we support
Yeah.
the local species And I'm actually working with a group in Australia around native seed libraries. And for them, it's also a large, an important food source in the traditional culture as well. So there's, the biodiversity aspect, there's the food and, seed and food sovereignty piece as well. So there's just, it's so many fun things to do in a seed library.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I'm finding. And that's what I think is so cool about seed libraries is there's not one reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are so many benefits. There are so many reasons why you would use that. And I keep coming to like, when you're first starting to grow, when you're like, I should grow my own food. Mm-hmm. And then you go to the nursery or the store or whatever, and you see like a million packets and you're like, where do I even start? And then, or like for me, I go to the website because nurseries are usually too hot for me. But, like Baker Creek, I love Baker Creek. They have the most beautiful packaging. Mm-hmm. But like when you're looking or like, even Johnny's Seeds or anything like that, like you're looking through the catalog or the website, it's so overwhelming because there's like tons of different versions of everything. But then you're like, you put it in your digital cart and then you're like, that's so much money. Like now I'm poor. Now I really need these to grow like tomorrow.
Seed rich, money poor, but you can be seed rich and rich. But yeah, no, it's
a
and
lot
I think depending also if you're in a really specific climate too, right. Because where I live, we're cool coastal California, and a lot of things don't. The large seed companies really are geared towards things that working for a large spectrum of the population. Right. And a lot of tomatoes don't work here. Cool coastal California, I can't grow a beefsteak tomato. And so if I just saw that and I was like, oh, that's beautiful. I love brandywines. I mean, I was trying to grow brandywines for like 7 or 8 years before I talked with a neighbor. Yep. And they're just,
do they crack every time?
No, you couldn't even get it. I'd get like a tomato. I mean, It never got hot enough. I just never got any fruit set. And
right. I mean, I had the same problem in Maine, but it was not that they wouldn't grow. It was that they would always crack somehow. Yeah. And I was I'm just going to go small.
We need to be talking to our neighbors and saying, what are you growing and what works well here versus, the plethora of things that are available. And a lot of it is, hybrid, and we've lost so much genetic diversity in the last 100 years. I mean, they talk about, the inventory that was done in 1980, where they looked at the 19th century commercial catalogs, and 90+% of it's gone, like extinct. Like people stopped saving it, and all this consolidation into larger and larger seed companies. And you might think you're buying from a local seed company, but it's actually owned by one of the large four.
Of course.
So there are definitely some really great regional seed companies. And so looking at who they are and if they're growing their own. So I'm part of a coalition called the Local Seed Coalition. And that's at localseeds.org. And we're looking at how can we encourage people to take that. I think we did a good job as a community in the last 10 years to know our farmer. People, there's an increasing interest in know your farmer, go to the farmer's market, talk to the farmer. And if we ask those farmers, where does your seed come from? 95% of them are going to say Johnny's. And that's not local seed. In fact, much of it is.
Unless you're in Maine. Yeah.
No, it's not grown in the United States.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not grown in the United States. Their hybrids are not grown in the United States. And so so the point is that we need to be asking ourselves, where is that seed coming from? Mm-hmm. And having some way to recognize it, whether it's some type of labeling system that it's like, I'm taking a commitment to growing local seed, and here I'm actually letting people know so that it's becoming part of our awareness that this is part of what sustainability means. Mm-hmm. You've got to have start is at the start. I mean, it's like if you don't start with the local seed, it's really not a very sustainable system.
Right. Well, sure. I mean, local seed is going to do better where you are, obviously. Right. I had a thought way back, and let's see if I can get that back. We were talking about seeds, and you were, so one of my thoughts was like, Um, oh gosh. One of my thoughts was, is there a fear of running out? Like if everyone like rushes the seed library, and I know you said, they're different everywhere. Some of them are
Mhm.
like a shoebox on top of a,
Mhm.
something or rather, but like, does it happen often that or are
Oh,
there
yeah, it
specific
totally, it
seeds?
very much happens that seed libraries run out of seeds. Yeah, and I think that that's, you're seeing, I don't have all the data on this, but I'm assuming it's probably more the seed libraries that are getting commercial donations versus growing their own. Like we don't run out of seed.
Oh, okay.
Because when you when you save seeds from a lettuce plant, you get thousands, and especially if you've got the population size, so you should be saving from a minimum population size. If you save from the minimum population size, I regularly give seed out to probably 20 seed libraries. And we have plenty in our collection, and I've got a back stock here. So when you save your own seed, you're fine, but seed libraries that are relying on either purchasing, they obviously have a limited budget, or if they're getting seed donation, there's a limited quantity. Even if they are, and some seed libraries do have limits. They're saying, 3 packets per month or 3 packets per season. We don't have any limits. We don't have, people can just come down whenever they want to and take what they need. And obviously some jars go empty, but in terms of just the volume, we still have like tons of other varieties in that particular species,
Okay.
different beans, whatever. So
All right. Uh,
another reason to start saving local seeds.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I just think, and I'm like growing as I'm doing this podcast and as I'm gardening and stuff like that, and realizing how important natives are, how important local is, that type of thing. Um, and so I think obviously locally grown is going to grow better
Mhm.
where they're born. Um, but so I did have a question about adapted seeds, and I think that you answered it a little bit ago, but I just want, because you said you have locally grown and adapted seeds.
Well, the seeds are adapting to the climate, and it's interesting that we're looking at how do we get data to actually support that claim that seeds are adapting and changing. We did a couple of years ago, we were part of a research group with a UC Santa Barbara researcher, and we all had gotten, this was in California, we had all the way from Southern to Northern California, we all got the same bean mix from the UC Davis bean professor. So we all knew the genetics of it, and we all planned it out, and we did it over 3 years, and then we sent it off to a lab to get analyzed in terms of like what the mix was. So still looking for getting all the information back on that. But right now, a friend of mine from Going to Seed, Julia Dakin, that's another wonderful organization that works on very genetically diverse mixes, and she's also one of the main people in the local seed coalition. She just created an app. It hasn't been launched yet, but it's looking at planting a commercial variety next to a genetically diverse mix. So that's one of the things we're working on. We're very much yes and approach at the Enrichment Grows where I work, and also with the Seed Library Network, which is cultural preservation of things that are important to people in our community, and then also working with some of these genetically diverse mixes. Some of them are traditional land races, and a land race is it's not a variety because it doesn't have a specific characteristic, but it has, for example, I have a Hungarian landrace parsley. So it's from a particular area in Hungary and was selected over time for their particular, culinary and whatever, farming practices. And so there's traditional land races, but then there's also people that are working with these more modern land races, which is mixing up some of the genetics from the limited genetics that we have left to see how can we expand that and kind of in our community select for what we enjoy and the flavors and nutrient dense, and then also obviously nature is going to do some selecting for us, and then we
Right.
can, and pests are going to do, yeah, so pests and things,
Yeah.
that's going to do some selecting for us, and then after kind of that initial selecting out, then we can start to select for flavor and other kind of qualities that we're interested in, and like long season or short season or productivity. And so that's one of the things we're really looking at as well.
Okay. And so land race, that's like RACE, like a race car?
Race car, yes. Land race. And
Interesting.
going to seed.org, they actually have a free class online where you can learn about land-based gardening and how to work with genetically diverse mixes. So I just went out right before this and I planted an arugula mix. So it's a mix from all these different people that were growing arugulas, different varieties, and just see like what does well, what do I like. I mean, it's fascinating because I planted, kale mixes and, I have it in my school garden and, the kids go around and we're sitting and they're like, the kids are just like, that one totally got eaten and that one right next to it, not touched at all. And it's just like,
Right?
yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah. Oh gosh, this is so fascinating, Rebecca. I appreciate this so much. So I'm, let's see, I have questions about starting a seed library.
Of course, yes.
I should probably start by asking if you know if there are areas that are really, like, they're really needed. Are there like lower populated ones? Probably not the right wording, but
Yeah, it's hard to say. So we have a seed library map. So if you go to seedlibrarynetwork.org, you can go to our Explore a Map page and see where they are. But it's all self-reported data. So if someone doesn't go on and add themselves to the map,
okay.
you don't know it. So
You
for
don't know.
basically what happened was when I first started, I started to collect names of seed libraries. It was like the first year, like 12 more seed libraries came online. We were the seventh seed library to open. 12 more opened up. Then next year was like 50 some, and the next year was like 150. By the next time, I'm like, it's a Google form, and you're adding your own content because I cannot manually add this. And
Here's the form.
here's
Enter
the
it in.
form. It is, I mean, I had to add it to, the website, but it was, one less step for me to.
Yeah.
But what in 2023 we had 2,600 communities that were interested or had open seed libraries. But it wasn't. We needed to go back in because I hadn't collected stuff such as your actual location because that wasn't, what I was thinking about when I first started. I was like, oh, look, there's another library. And not only that, because, one library often opens and then they all of a sudden expanded to their whole library system. So for example, one of the women on our committee who was helping us with the map, she's like, we're put down as like, we're interested in it, but she goes, we have 11 branches. And so we knew that initial list was very outdated because when they first said they were interested, they then have gone far down the road with it.
Right.
So we redid it and have a map, and the map only has about, I don't know, 1,300 entries on it. But I know in France alone, they just did a census themselves last year or 2 years ago, and they had 950 seed libraries in France.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so you said that's Seed Library Network?
Network.org. Yeah.
Okay.
And so if you are interested in opening up a seed library, you can first go to the map, explore, see if there's anyone in your region, because maybe there's one right down the road and you don't even know about it.
Right.
And then we have resources on how to start a seed library. So it's
Okay.
all the basic stuff that you would need.
Okay.
If
That's
you
another
are-
one of my questions.
Yeah, if you are specifically interested in a specialty type of library, for example, the native seed library, we have a page just on some extra considerations about native seed libraries. So native seed libraries, school libraries, because I'm a middle school science teacher, my sixth graders put one in our middle school, and academic libraries, and then herbal libraries, and dye and fiber libraries.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's so much. And so, but you have them all together, but they're not necessarily all kept together, right? Like you said that there are like specific native seed libraries, but you have like a little section of yours. That's
Yeah,
native.
we have a kind of just a general collection, but we have like a drawer for dyeing plants. But there are, like I said, there are specific
Native. Yeah.
native only. And then obviously if you're a school teacher and you have a seed library, there might be specific requirements, like it's obviously not open to the public.
Right.
And what does it look like when you have a kid checking out seeds versus an adult, Oh my God, I had this one kid who was just like, just loved to go every single day. And it's like, she was moving out of town like in a week. Like, what are you doing? You're moving to Mississippi, and she was just like, oh, I just love the seed library. And I'm like, great,
So
just come
fun.
and just like sit with it. You know, you don't even buying seeds every day.
I mean, that's actually so fun to do. I mean, especially because at yours they're in jars, right?
Yeah.
You said.
Mhm.
So like you can see the difference in seeds. Like I love the fact that like beet seeds and Swiss chard seeds are like all crinkly and
Mhm.
pokey and really bulky.
And the same
And then
species.
yes. Well, yeah, I mean, but just like a similar texture. They're not like,
Yeah.
carrot seeds, which are sort of long and
Right.
thin and
Yeah.
skinny. But I just love the different textures. Like a lot of them you can tell apart just by the shape
Mhm.
that
Yeah, I do.
that
I
they are.
used to do this activity called seed bowls, where I had 30 different bowls
Oh
out.
my
They were
gosh,
just
30.
numbered 1 through 30. And
Guess what it
people had
is?
to, yeah, people had to guess. And I mean, I've done this with, at different trainings, but also for master gardeners and everything like that, and just like trying to figure out what the seeds are. And I tell them that it's
Oh, I love that game.
30 common crops with one wild relative.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the wild relative that I put in there, if you ever want to do this, the wild relative is teosinte, which is the ancestral corn.
Oh.
And it looks like little fossilized teeth. It's amazing. It's so beautiful. And then the other one that really mystified people was I had cotton because it's a very common crop.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know that I would know.
Oh, if I said cotton, you would be able to quickly go, that's cotton because it's fuzzy like cotton.
Oh, okay. So it's not like the little kernel
Because you think
seed.
about no, because you think about when you take the cotton, you've got to take the seeds out of
The
the cotton bolls, whatever. So it's just, but yeah, that it still has a little bit of remnant on it. But
okay.
when people couldn't guess that one, and I was like, it's cotton. They're just like,
Yeah.
oh, of course it is.
Right. I mean, the gourd seeds are so funky looking too. Like
Yes.
I had a two um loofah gourds that actually grew
Oh,
this past
mhm.
year. And so I was saving the seeds. I'm like, those are the funkiest looking seeds.
Yeah.
They're
Those are
just
great.
wild
Yeah,
looking.
yeah. I have a book on just seeds, and there's just nature is so amazing.
Nature is so cool. I know. So okay, so I mean, people can go to the website, but can you just tell us like what do you need? I mean, first you want to find out if there's one close by, because if
Correct.
there's one close by already, you don't need to start another one.
Correct.
You can just donate seeds.
Yes.
Because
That.
that's another thing I wanted to touch on too. Like if you
Mhm.
have extra seeds, you can donate seeds
Yes.
to the seed bank, to the seed library.
Mhm.
And then, so how you found out that there's not one nearby? How
Mhm.
do you go about starting one? Does that
I
also differ like everything else? You can just like
I
when you.
mean, it really depends on your situation. I mean, some people are like, I'm going to just rock it out and do it myself. Other people like, I want to do this in community. Some people are like, I'm a public librarian and I've been tasked with doing this and I don't know anything about gardening. And then they have master gardeners or garden clubs. So there's so many different people that come to this, but it's not that complicated. I think that people over imagine it because I said it can be as small as, like a little
Shoebox, yeah.
shoebox
Yep.
on a reference desk and or a little cart that has a couple little boxes on it. And those tend to obviously run out of seeds, but it's like while they're going, it's great. And they're like, come back in the next season, we'll have more seeds.
Feel free to save seeds.
Feel free
Bring
to
them
save
back.
seeds, exactly. And I think if you're wanting to set it up where it becomes more self-sustaining, having a process of what does it look like for donating. So I just taught a class yesterday for the American Library Association on donating. So that will be up on our website soon on our donating page.
Oh, that's very cool.
And it's what's your process? Are you only going to accept seeds that are cleaned and labeled? Do they need to be pre-packed in individual packs because you're only giving out packets and you're not doing stuff in jars? Like what's your system that's going to work for you? For me, I work full time, run two nonprofits, grow a lot of my own food, have a life.
Yeah.
I was like, I need something that is going to be able to go through life with me with minimum
For sure.
Just, I wouldn't say effort, but just be able to, go with the ebbs and flows of life. And as a result, we went with a self-serve system. And when we had a mouse invasion, it was in the whole library. It wasn't just in our collection, but it did find, we had our drawers do not close well at all. And so they were in there and they just ate everything.
Nuts.
And so we have everything in jars for now. So, but it was already.
That's why the jars.
Well, when we had already said take stuff out of the packets, but that was like, no, everything's, and we had also we're in the beginning, we also had more commercial donations. So we had stuff that was commercial and now we're 100% local. And so the jars just were it was an easy transition for us because we were heading in that direction anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the jars, I think, would be such a great idea because they're, one, safe from mice and other critters, but two, you can see them, which I just think is really cool.
When you have stuff and two, it's also really clear you're not taking the jar home.
Yeah. Right.
Because when it's an individual packet that you're wanting people to take out of, people don't necessarily read the instructions that say take 2 to 3. And they're used to going into a store and taking a whole packet.
Right.
And even if it's a commercial seed packet and you want them to take out of it, there's too much of a habit just to take the whole packet. And they're not doing that with a glass jar.
Yeah, right. And they're also going to be safe from moisture.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they're, safe in a bomb situation. But, I just think it's really cool to be able to see the difference. And, for anyone, I think it's really cool to compare seeds. But so there's no licensing that needs to happen, documents to file, anything like that.
No, the only thing that you need to know is that if you do have a seed library, that there's no requirement to have people return it. So when you require someone, you're getting into more of a contractual gray zone. And so as long as you're just very clear, just saying, this is a community resource, you're free to borrow stuff. It does not meet commercial seed germination or labeling requirements, you're fine. So we actually worked in 2014 to 2016 with the American seed control officials and the seed industry to craft an amendment to the recommended uniform state seed law. So it's in the recommended uniform or state seed law, or Russell, which basically says seed libraries are exempt from commercial regulation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. And so I had, let's see, when someone is I'm really curious about this. When someone is bringing saved seeds, how do they bring them?
Well, like I said, that's going to depend, and hopefully you have some education around, and we have a whole section on donating seeds on our website.
Okay. Not in your hands, preferably.
Well, I'm just saying because some people some libraries are fine with just drop off a bag of unprocessed seeds and we'll take care of it. And others are just absolutely no way is that going to happen.
Oh, all sticky, gooey.
No, not sticky. It should be dry, but I'm just saying some people like you were saying, you went and you visited friends and you had a bag of arugulas and it sounded like they were still in the pods.
Yes.
Where for some libraries they might be fine with that, and others are like, no, you have to have it out of the pod in some type of container.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. But
and we have a section, what we do in our library is we have a sign about these are the donation requirements. We want it obviously clean,
dry,
safe from healthy plants. We don't accept GMO or patented varieties. We don't accept commercial hybrids because a lot of them are bred, especially small seeded ones, for male cytoplasmic sterility. So we don't do commercial hybrids. And we need it labeled with the common name, if it has a varietal name, the year it was harvested, and we want the grower's name as well, because if someone is sharing something like a squash and we don't know who the grower is, we're going to assume that they didn't really know how to hand pollinate and that it is probably a diverse mix. So it's not to say that we won't accept it, but we will label it as probably not as labeled. It's probably not as labeled. So we have a little stamp that says diverse mix.
Okay. Wow. So if
people they're fine with a squash, but it's just some people are no, I really wanted a Wall-Time butternut squash, and that wasn't, and they would not be happy. But if someone's I just want a squash, I don't really care, and we said diverse mix, then
for me it's winter squash, summer squash, but I just not acorn, please, because the ridges make me frustrated. But
Understood.
winter, summer, big difference for me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's important to know. Really good. I mean, it's good that you have it stated there so that
We have it stated, and we have a place where people put their donations so that they don't just go into our collection. We look at them, and then we kind of decide, oh, well, these, we can obviously do a visual inspection that everything's bug free. If it's beans or peas, we will take it home and freeze it, because peas and beans can have bean weevils and they might look totally fine. But by next year,
they burrow inside, right?
They burrow inside, and then it's just little eggs. But by next season, when someone goes to borrow them, all it is little shells.
If at room temperature.
Yeah, so we will freeze them for like three days if someone does bean seeds and we don't know who they are and we can't verify that they froze them. Yeah.
Okay. I think my last question is, when you're just starting out, where do you get the seeds?
Yeah, when you're just starting out, most people start like we did, where we reached out to a number of seed companies that we felt more aligned with, more regional seed companies or local seed companies, and asked for donations. It's usually best to do that at the end of the season or the end of the year in general, because they have to discard them if they got put in an envelope.
Right.
And then
because they're packaged for a specific year, right?
Packaged for a specific year. But we have a whole thing on our website about viability and like how long seeds are actually good for. And then we also reached out to local seed, like a local garden club. And so there were a number of seed savers in the local garden club, as well as we just were really grateful that University of California, Berkeley, they have a big garden, and someone just came by with like 2 big bags of locally saved seeds from the UC Berkeley garden.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we started with about maybe 10% local seeds when we first got started, and now we're at to 100% local seed.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh. All right. So, I mean, I think those are all my like main questions. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that I skipped over that I shouldn't? Like, is anything that we need to know that about seed libraries, seed bank? So if you have, I'm wondering, like, do seed banks take donations? Yeah, they do take donations as well, but they're more like commercial crops. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, a seed bank is more dealing at the farmer scale. So they're talking usually like kilograms of seed. Whereas a seed bank is, like, it's like you're getting, like a little pocket of lettuce seeds or whatever. Yeah, exactly. It's a very different scale for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are there seed banks everywhere too? I had no idea that there was such a thing like that for farmers.
There aren't as many seed banks, at least in the United States. There are some in, like, the few that I know of are more within indigenous cultural centers where they're really stewarding their own seeds and making sure that they are the seed stewards of their own seed, and making sure that they are being stewarded, as opposed to putting that into commercial hands and someone all of a sudden is like, oh, it didn't sell that well. They take it off and they lose something of value to their community.
Oh, that's fascinating. Oh my gosh. That would be really cool to learn about too. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is so much. Like, this is so much. It's so much bigger than I had planned on, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I just, having looked at the website and having just done the, I would just, there was just a course, a webinar this past weekend on Valentine's Day about seed libraries and starting a seed library. So I watched the replay of that, and I just had so many questions, like, should we all start seed libraries, and how do we get connected? And I asked you all my questions. I had so many questions.
Well, I mean, I think to that point, we really do hope that every community has a seed library. I mean, I'm really grateful where I live in the East Bay and the San Francisco Bay Area. There are 60 just between the county I live in and the next county over, where Basil is.
60.
And where I work in Marin County, which is north of San Francisco, there are about 18 in that county. And
Well,
so
that's a
being able to,
city. Like that's city area,
that
right?
was, it's, well, in northern, I mean, that area is kind of like lots of little towns.
I just think of San Francisco as very
Yeah,
there's
we're
like
right above, like the county right above San Francisco. And so the thing is that we really hope that every community stewards their own seeds and that they have robust local seed, that the local seed becomes part of their longer term vision for their seed library, just in order for it to become sustainable and being able to select for things that work well in that climate and that people love, and that they become part of this, because we've lost that connection to our food. And it's like one thing if you share something with me and then it's like, oh, these are the like arugula seeds that I got from my friend Amy who does the podcast like Grounded in Maine, and it's not just a seed, it's something that like I'm part of that connection to the seed,
right.
that having the local seeds and people sharing them with their friends and how well they did in their garden, and what recipes they use, that we really start to kind of come back into connection with our food.
Oh, I love that so much.
Yeah.
I would love that, just to have, to be able to share my arugula seeds with everybody and have them say, and, when they come up and they'll be like, oh, those are Amy's arugula. And then, share the recipes, which are hopefully like beet and goat cheese combos with arugula, my favorite. I think that I'm craving that connection, like you're saying as well. I do want to make sure to mention, because I can't remember if we did this before we started recording or not, but there are lots and lots and lots of seed libraries at actual libraries, like book libraries.
Correct.
So
Yes.
if y'all are interested, check your library first. And then go to seedlibrarynetwork.org to see if there's one near you. I want to start a seed library now because this is really exciting.
It's not that complicated to do. Like I said, my sixth graders we were doing a sustainability project and everyone had to have a different project. And one group wanted to put a seed library in our middle school library. And I was like, yeah, go for it. And they found my website. They found the richmondgrowsseeds.org website. That's the local seed library that I run. And they found the website. I did not tell them it was my website. And I was just like, well, just let me know if you have any questions. They're like, no, it's super easy. And they totally
We
put it
found this
together
website.
without
You're like,
any,
yeah, you did.
I was like, okay, it is vetted by, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons it grew so well is that the timing was right and the instructions were easy enough to follow, that a sixth
Right.
grader could do it,
Yeah.
without any parental or
I love
involvement.
that. That's so cool. And the fact that kids are excited about it, that's
Oh my
like
gosh,
the
it's
best.
so I have little seed librarians. They have to apply for the job, so I have
Seed
a crew of
librarians.
seed librarians, and they're so cute because if I have something to do, they're like, "Well, I'm one of the seed librarians." I'm like, "Oh, yes, you are."
I want to be seed librarian next.
I know. There's just like, and it's sweet because like some of them go from me because I teach sixth grade, and they go all the way up through eighth grade, and
Oh my
so that's just,
gosh.
and they're just, I mean, there's something about seed that it's like, I mean, because all my students, we have it as part of our curriculum. And, when we take out the bean seeds and they start to process them,
In just a
it's
few
like
days,
something
they're
wakes,
growing.
oh, it just like something just wakes up and you're like, oh, they're like, yeah. And I'm like,
Hope is.
it is. It's like, it's the past, it's the future. There's so much, it's amazing that something so small can hold so much wisdom and promise.
Life. Yeah. I did have one more question that just came up in my head. In your experience, Rebecca, seeds, because I know, like we talked about, that seed packets are packaged for a specific year. In your experience, is that a year is usually short for a seed life, right? Unless they're like exposed to sunlight or heat or whatever, right?
Correct. So one of the things that people don't know about a lot of people don't understand the process, but basically a seed company can keep seeds in a jar or some other container. And as long as they meet the minimum germination requirements, they can keep holding on to them. So they might be holding on to them for 7 or 8 years, but like, oh, it's starting to get to that minimum germination standard. So we need to pack them up for this year and get them out. And so the seeds you might be getting packed for 2026 might actually be from 2022. 2022.
Okay.
And so one of the things that seed libraries tend to actually have, if they're local, all of our seed is current. It's
Right,
from
because you
the
run
last
out, you go through them.
yeah, we go through them, and also it hasn't been sitting back for like a couple years, and we keep testing the germination rate and
Yeah.
testing the germination rate, but like, okay, we really need to get it to market now because it's getting to that threshold. So that's one thing to note. But even seed that is several years old, seed can last for a long time if under good conditions, which is pretty much dark, cool, and dry.
Right.
There are some species, in particular the allium family, that's, garlic. Well, we're not dealing with garlic so much because it's not seeds, but leeks and onion. That's the one family to be most concerned about because within a year you can lose about 50% germination rate.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But the other ones,
Try it.
brassicas and all that stuff, they can, your collards and your kale, they can last for a long, long time.
Yeah. You can like soak them and see if they, crack open, start to, poke out plants, whatever. Okay. That's really helpful because I just had this thought of like, what if, I imagine a seed library is probably the best place to get fresh seeds because they often will like sell out or run out.
Yeah, exactly. I tell people it's probably not that as big of an issue because you're running out of seeds probably faster than they're expiring.
Yeah, totally. And that's a good thing. I know like there are some, do you have people that come in and they're like, do you have this kind of seed? Like, I'm not really seeing that. Or
Well,
are they like,
we're not hanging out at the library because we
oh, because you have jobs.
we have
Yeah.
jobs. We are actually now in the rec center because the library is being renovated. So it's interesting. We're in a totally different venue for the next 2 years.
Oh, that's cool though.
Yeah,
Whole
what's great
different,
because it's a completely different crew of people. I mean, not completely different. We're right outside the tool lending library, and so these are people getting often garden tools, and they're like, "I didn't even know about the seed library." So it's really been
yes.
fun to connect in with a different segment of our population.
Oh, but okay, well that's really interesting. And so I just, you brought up the tool library. So also you guys look for tool libraries or libraries of things because you never know what you're going to find and you could save yourself money.
Yes, so it's such a fun place to hang out too. I go to the library and then the seed library, and then I just like head over like because we're like 10 feet outside their door. I'm like, hey, get my
Yeah.
little grinder or whatever I'm getting for the day, and they're so
Right.
awesome.
Yeah. So definitely look for those, you guys. Look for the library of things or the tool library, like we were talking about last week with, it's been a few weeks at this point, but I talked about with Doug Katz, an adaptive library. Like, try things out before you buy them, or see if you have to buy them at all. I know that in the library of things at my library back home in Maine, they have like an acorn processor.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So like you never know what you're going to find. And sometimes you'll find the coolest things and find new hobbies. But, oh my gosh, Rebecca, this has been so fun. And I'm so excited about seed libraries now. I mean, just since finding that course last weekend, it just like it sparked something in me, and I just think I really want to do it if there's not one where I am. But I also like next time I have an overload of arugula seeds,
You know where to put them.
I can bring them somewhere else.
Yes.
Because when I brought them to Maine, some people were like, I'd take a few. I'm like, a few pods. But so I think that this is such an important topic, and we need to, one, we don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on seeds.
Correct.
And it's something that is contributing to the community, contributing to, like history, like creating history and preserving history, and setting us up for the future. It's just a great practice. Rebecca, what does the word sustainability mean to you? I should ask first.
Yeah, so I feel like for me, it really is about being in right relationship. That if we're to be sustainable, we need to be connected to each other and to the land and to the other 7, 8 million species that we share with, not including, not include, that does not, that number does not
Not just
include all the
humans.
microbes.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
just, we share this planet with so many other species and with so many other humans in our species, and just how do we reconnect in a way that, you can have an impact that's positive, neutral, or negative, and thinking about how do we have at minimum a neutral and hopefully a positive impact. I think about for myself this concept of face, place, story. The idea is that if we move through the world and we think about the things that we consume, the things that, whether it's products or whether it's food, like who is the face behind who made this? What is the place that this came from? How is my use of this impacting that place or connected to that place in a way that's like honoring that space? And like the story of the people and the product. I mean, I think about like this sweater. I mean, this sweater, for example, is like this was made by my mom. She made herself one, and she made my sister one, and she made her sister one. She gave me the pattern, saying, "You're probably the only one who's ever going to learn how to knit."
Oh, I love that.
And but
Did
this was
you?
one, oh, I do know how to knit, but this is the one actually she gave to her sister, and when her sister passed away, when my aunt passed away, it was gifted back to me.
Nice.
And so it's like this is like a sweater that's like 30 years old,
Yeah.
that it's got like a face and a place
Yeah.
and a story. Like this is like I hold on to this, and
Yeah.
if I were to ever, pass it on to someone for some reason, like it would come with that information.
Yeah.
And then I think when we are connected to those faces, places, and stories, we start to heal, because we don't have the story. The reason we lost, it's like the reason there's been so much harm on this planet is because we have allowed ourselves to be disconnected from those other people and from those other places. And that when we bring ourselves into right relationship, that's where the healing happens. And then when we come back into balance.
Right. Oh my gosh. That's so beautiful. It's so true. Like I just, as you're talking about it, I was like, we need to find like where we fit, like in relationship to everything, and not like in an ego way, like how do I fit? How do I fit? But like we're all part of each other, and we need to coexist. And
so much harm has happened because we've not had the faces or the places and the stories. And yeah, I think that when we actually reconnect with that concept, then that's where we're going to do the healing.
Awesome. Yeah. What's the best place to find you and learn more? I mean, I know we have seedlibrarynetwork.org.
Yeah, that is the place. We're a very self-serve organization here. And we do have we're on Instagram at Seed Libraries. And also we have a Substack account. So you can find us at seedlibrarynetwork.substack.com.
Cool.
And on our webpage, if you have questions about how to start a seed library and want a little bit of support on your journey, we do from our website, you can find our Upbeat forum, and that's a great place to ask questions and kind of have the community kind of hive come around your question or be inspired by what you're doing.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I just think I think it's a beautiful thing, and I love the self-serve idea, so that you don't feel like someone's like policing, you can only have a few seeds, or just it's a guideline, not a law. But we want people to grow food. We want people to feel connected to their food and feel connected to the earth, and feel that relationship all together. Thank you so much. This is wonderful. I can't wait to look into more seed library stuff.
Yeah, well, when you get open, get yourself on the map.
I will do that for sure. Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Rebecca. And you guys, all the links are going to be in the show notes. So check those out and find the website and hook up with Rebecca and see all the cool things that they've been putting out there for us already. I just want to take a second to thank my guest again for for speaking with me and sharing such great information. I love having these conversations with folks. I also want to thank Buzzsprout for hosting the podcast, for Jane Bolduck and her music genius, for Becca Coffron and her award-winning artwork. And thank you for listening. I appreciate that so much. Please check out the show notes for any links and extra information. And if you would like to follow my guest and find out more about them, I'm sure they would love the follow. And if you don't mind leaving a rating or review wherever you're listening, and just help to get this podcast in front of new eyes, that would be amazing. I would really love that. And feel free to reach out to me on the socials and let me know what you're thinking. And if you would like to be a guest on the podcast, please let me know that. I would love to have a conversation with you about sustainability. All right. Thank you again. I hope you have a great rest of the week.
There'll come a day, my mama told me, when I find love to have and hold me, a heart that's strong and so sincere. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? Oh, tell me, how do I get there from here? 'Cause here and now I'm so far down that mercy's bound to find me. We'll find a way to soothe the sickness. We'll heal the hate with sweet forgiveness. Wages of war will disappear. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? I wonder, how do I get there from here? Yeah, 'cause here and now I'm so far down that mercy's bound to find me. When that state of grace has finally found me, well, there'll be music, ooh, and good friends around me, yeah. And I'll just smile through happy tears and wonder,